प्रॉब्लम्स दी हैं मेरे, वो तो तुम कर रहे हो, उनको करते रहना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So now what we are going to do is today, like we have talked of what the first derivative, if I have any function given to me, this f is a function of x, that means my graph is something like this, or just I have a function of x. We have seen that the first derivative gives us some information, some knowledge about the rise and the fall of the graph. And the second derivative gives us some information about the shape of the graph as far as the concavity is concerned. Okay. Now, as I said in the beginning, the first derivative and the second derivative, they are more than enough to sketch the graph of any function that is given to us. We don't need anything else. Okay. The only thing is that we have to understand the behavior based upon the first derivative, based upon the second derivative properly, and then use them, to sketch the graph. Okay. Like I'll start with polynomial. We'll start with basic functions, polynomials, and then gradually we'll move over to more complicated functions. Okay. Like if I take a simple polynomial fx equal to x4 minus 4x cubed plus 10. Okay. Supposing I have this function and my problem is to sketch the graph of this function. Okay. अभी तक जो मैंने कल problem दिया था या उस दिन हमने जब discuss किया था, तो I just told you to forget about the sketching part. Just identify the intervals, where the function is increasing, decreasing, or where the function is concave up and concave down. Okay. Now what we'll do is, using those concepts only, we'll try to sketch the graph of this function. Okay. So what we do is, given the function fx, as I said, the very first thing that we'll do is we find f dash x. Okay. Now what will be f dash x in this case? 4x cubed
4x cubed
minus
12x square.
ठीक है ना, यही होता है. Now, for increasing decreasing part, or to find the possible critical points, what do? We put f dash x equal to 0. Okay. And the moment you put f dash x equal to 0, this implies 4x cubed minus 12x square is equal to 0. Now, it's a cubic polynomial. The derivative has turned out to be a cubic polynomial now. So how many roots will this equation have, ideally?
2 roots. 0.
It's a cubic polynomial. It will have 3 roots. Okay.
3 roots.
Now, if you have to write the roots of this, then what will you write?
3 and 0.
0, 0 and 3.
0, 0 and 3, because
3.
it needs to have 3 roots. Okay. Now, as far as algebraic equations is concerned, or if we were doing the algebra part, this repeated root has a different significance. Okay. But since we are only dealing with the sketching part, so I am not bothered whether 0 is repeated twice or not. So for me, 0 is a point, because I have to study the behavior of f dash or the behavior of f around 0 and 3. Okay. Say, so basically what you do is you write this as, I think you take 4x square common and you are left with x minus 3 equal to 0. This is how you factorize, right? So now, since I have 2 values of x, so basically these x equal to 0 and x equal to 3 are the possible critical points. Okay. So that means they can be a point of maxima or minima depending upon how the derivative changes its sign while passing through 0 and 3. Okay. So we do our homework here, or we do our work here, in the sense we just identify the points where 0 and 3 lie. Okay. We look at the sign of f dash in these 3 intervals. So basically what has happened? we have divided our whole real line into 3 intervals: minus infinity to 0, 0 to 3, and 3 to infinity. Okay, so in these 3 intervals, we are going to study the behavior of f, governed by what? The sign of f dash. Okay, so if I say this interval, minus infinity to 0, that means for x less than 0, what is the sign of f dash?
Negative.
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 Yes, ma'am.
And if f dash is negative, then what is the behavior of f?
Decreasing.
Decreasing. So I put this sign. Okay. What about 0 to 3?
Negative.
Positive.
Negative.
Decreasing.
Negative.
Negative.
Ma'am,
Negative.
बहुत दिमाग मत लगाओ, 0 to 3 के बीच में कोई भी पॉइंट यहाँ सब्स्टिट्यूट करके देख लो. Okay, say x equal to 1.
Negative आएगा.
Negative आएगा मैम.
Negative. So that means the function is decreasing
Decreasing.
because it's still negative. That means what? That means while passing through x equal to 0, the derivative has not changed its sign.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that means 0 is neither a point of maxima nor a point of minima because the derivative has not changed its sign. Though the derivative vanishes at x equal to 0, but it fails to be a point of maxima or minima. Okay. Now, what about 3 to infinity?
Positive.
Positive.
Increasing function.
It becomes positive. So that means the function is increasing.
Increasing.
यही मतलब हुआ ना? That means what? That means while passing through 3, the function has changed its nature from decreasing to increasing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that means x equal to 3 is a point of minima
Yes, ma'am.
because decreasing से increasing हो रहा है ना. तो इसका मतलब जब 3 से क्रॉस करेगा तो मेरा ग्राफ यहाँ पे ऐसा सा बनेगा कुछ.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
3 becomes
Yes,
a point
ma'am.
of minima. Is this okay? But
Yes, ma'am.
what I observe is that x equal to 0 is neither a point of maxima nor a minima. But x equal to 3 is a point of minima. Okay, अब यहीं पे ही हम एक काम करेंगे क्योंकि x equal to 3 पे मेरा कर्व वैसे होना है एंड अल्टीमेटली क्योंकि मेरे को ग्राफ स्केच करना है तो इसका मतलब मुझे सारी चीजें कहाँ प्लॉट करनी है, xy प्लेन में, राइट? एंड सिंस x equal to 3 has turned out to be one special point of minima, so what I'll do is I'll find the value of the function at x equal to 3 also because तभी तो मेरे पास वो point आएगा ग्राफ में. Okay, now how much was your f? F was x4 minus 4x cube plus 10. So f at x equal to 3 would mean what? 4 to the power 4 minus 3 to the power 4 minus 4 into 3 to the power 3 plus 10. यही बनेगा ना? अब क्विकली बताओ क्या वैल्यू आएगी ये?
81.
Ma'am, 81 minus 108 plus 10.
हाँ तो करो, फाइनल चाहिए मुझे वैल्यू.
Minus 137.
Minus 17.
Minus 17.
माइनस
Minus 17.
Minus 17.
मैं तुम्हारी बात मानकर चल रही हूँ, मेरे पास आंसर नहीं है इसका. ठीक है? सो -17, राइट? सो अब हम जब लिखेंगे तो इसको ऐसे लिखेंगे 3 minus 17 is a point of minima. अब अपने दिमाग में रखकर चलो 3 minus 17 कौन से क्वाड्रेंट में हुआ ये पॉइंट?
fourth quadrant.
Fourth quadrant.
फोर्थ क्वाड्रेंट में, ठीक है। तो इसका मतलब कुछ पोर्शन ऑफ द ग्राफ हमारा फोर्थ क्वाड्रेंट में भी लाई कर रहा है, ठीक है। और क्योंकि ये पॉइंट ऑफ मिनिमा है, तो इसका मतलब ग्राफ ऊपर से डिक्रीज होते हुए और इसको जब क्रॉस करेगा तो फिर ऊपर बढ़ेगा। इसका मतलब ऊपर से नीचे आएगा। 3 से पहले हमेशा ऊपर से नीचे आ रहा है क्योंकि डिक्रीजिंग है थ्रू आउट, और 3 को क्रॉस करते ही फिर वो ऊपर उठेगा, ठीक है। अब 0 भी क्योंकि स्पेशल पॉइंट था, बट 0 पे ना मैक्सिमा हुआ ना मिनिमा हुआ, स्टिल we'll find the value of the function at x equal to 0. तो अब ये तो आसान है, when x is 0, the value of the function is 10. ठीक है ना? So that means the special point that I get is actually 0, 10. ठीक है ना? अब 0, 10 का मतलब क्या हुआ? कहाँ पे हुआ ये पॉइंट?
First quadrant.
Quadrant.
x is 0, y is 10. ये पॉइंट कहाँ लाया करेगा?
Y axis.
y axis. ठीक है ना? तो इसका मतलब हमारा ग्राफ चाहे ऊपर से नीचे आ रहा है, बट अल्टीमेटली एक जगह तो कम से कम वो y एक्सिस को क्रॉस कर रहा है। किस पॉइंट पे? 0, 10 पे। ठीक है। अब ये सी, ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स आर गोइंग टू बी हेल्पफुल व्हेन वी फाइनली स्केच द ग्राफ। ओके, I'm not finding the values at random points. I'm not finding the values at arbitrary values of x. I'm just finding the points at specifics. Okay. अब ये तो हुआ जितना इंफॉर्मेशन हमें फर्स्ट डेरिवेटिव ने देना था हमें दे दिया, ठीक है। इससे ज्यादा हमें कोई इंफॉर्मेशन फर्स्ट डेरिवेटिव नहीं दे सकता, राइट। सो वी कम टू नाउ दी सेकेंड डेरिवेटिव। अब इसी फंक्शन का f डबल डैश x कितना बनेगा? f double dash x will be 12x square
X square minus 24x.
12x square minus 24x. Up here we have to find the points because now we are looking at possible points of inflection, and they will happen where f double dash x is 0. So what we do is we put f double dash x equal to 0. Now f double dash x equal to 0 implies what? 12x
Equals to 0 and 2.
12 into x minus 12, sorry,
2.
x minus 2 equal to 0. So that means x is 0 and x is 2. अब देखो ये 0 फिर आ गया, ठीक है ना। अब क्या करें बेचारा, ऊपर तो कुछ हेल्प नहीं कर पाया फर्स्ट डेरिवेटिव में। सो लेट्स सी सेकंड डेरिवेटिव में हेल्प करता है या नहीं, राइट। सो अगेन वी डू आवर एनालिसिस हियर, राइट। अब हम क्या करेंगे, f डबल डैश के साइन को देखेंगे, राइट, वेदर इट्स नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव। We know that a point becomes a point of inflection only if the curve changes its nature while passing through the point. कैसे? It changes its concavity from up to down or from down to up while passing through the point. वो कैसे पता लगता है? When the second derivative changes its sign. ठीक है ना? So अब एक तरह से फिर हमारा पूरी रियल लाइन 3 इंटरवल्स में डिवाइड हो गई, minus infinity to 0, 0 to 2, and 2 to infinity, right? Now, for x less than 0,
Positive value.
what is the sign of f double dash?
Positive.
It is positive. ठीक है? That means for x less than 0, my curve is concave up. ठीक है ना? अगर f double dash, if the second derivative is positive, the function is concave up. If the second derivative is negative, the function is concave down. Okay. Now, look at 0 to 2.
Negative.
Negative.
Negative. Sure? Pakka?
Yes, ma'am.
Concave
So
down.
that means from 0 to 2, my curve is concave
Concave down.
down. ठीक है? What about 2 to infinity?
Positive.
Positive.
Again positive.
Concave up.
That means it's concave up.
Negative.
क्या?
पॉजिटिव पॉजिटिव।
जैसे मैंने कहा बेटा, हमेशा कहीं भी कंफ्यूजन हो रही है तो एक तो लिखने की चोरी मत करो, कहीं भी रफ में लिख लो और कोई भी एक पॉइंट उससे ज्यादा यहाँ पे सब्स्टिट्यूट करके देख लो, राइट? सो आई जस्ट पुट 3, तो ये तो पॉजिटिव है ही, and 3 minus 2 will be 1, so it will be positive. Okay, so it's concave up, right? Now see, both the points 0 and 2 are such that when the graph, when we cross these points, the second derivative is changing its sign. When we cross 0, the second derivative is changing its sign from positive to negative. And when we cross 2, it is changing its sign from negative to positive. Okay, so that means the concavity is being changed at both these points. So that means this function has 2 points of inflection. Okay, so we'll say that because the concavity has changed while passing through x equal to 0 and x equal to 2, therefore we'll say that अब फिर वही करेंगे, f at x equal to 0 हम पहले ही निकाल चुके हैं, कितना था 10, है ना? Yeah, so we'll conclude that 0, 10 is a point of inflection. क्या हुआ? Any? ये इतनी लेट, चलो कोई नहीं बेटा, आज 0, 10 is a point of inflection. Okay, now what about x equal to 2? Because यहाँ पे भी तो point of inflection है. So we'll have to find the value of the function at x equal to 2 also. Now x equal to 2 का मतलब क्या हुआ? Function की value 2 पे I'm saying now, okay? और function क्या था?
-6.
-6, right? मैं directly लिख दूँ आप? हाँ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. X equal to 2 is -6. That means 2 minus 6 is a point of inflection. ठीक है, तो अब ये हमारा ग्राफ कैसा आया, जिसके पास एक मिनिमा है और 2 पॉइंट्स ऑफ इन्फ्लेक्शन है. तो हमारे पास 3 स्पेशल पॉइंट्स आ गए ना. ठीक है, अब ये तीनों स्पेशल पॉइंट्स ऐसे हैं कि इनके आसपास जब हम अपना ग्राफ स्केच करेंगे और फ्री हैंड से करेंगे, हमें कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि हमें बिल्कुल वो चाहिए कि किस पॉइंट पे क्या वैल्यू आ रही है. बस हाँ, जो हमारे स्पेशल पॉइंट्स हैं, राइट, लाइक the points where maxima minima may exist or the points that are points of inflection. We need the complete values only of those special points. We don't want the value of the function at any other point. Okay, so when we sketch the graph, we are going to just see the behavioral change while passing through these points, and that is how we are going to plot the graph. Okay, but as I said, the best thing is once you have done this much, now try to sketch the graph in bits and pieces, the way we did the way we plotted x cube in the last class. Okay, but to sketch the graph in bits and pieces, we need to combine both f dash and f double dash. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to combine. अब हमारे पास 3 स्पेशल पॉइंट्स कौन से हैं? 0 तो है ही है, ठीक है. Then somewhere 3 एक था ही था, because that was the point of minima. But between 0 and 2, between 0 and 3, 2 is also a special point because it has turned out to be a point of inflection. Okay, so that means if I have to club the behavior, if I have to sketch the graph in bits and pieces, so I'll have to consider all the possible intervals in which the function is changing its behavior. It could be from increasing to decreasing, it could be from concave up to down or from down to up. Okay, so what I'll do is I will write the behaviors below this line, and above the line we'll try to see the shape. Okay, so what I'll do is, okay, I'll write f dash and f double dash here. Okay, now for x less than 0, f dash was less than 0, यही था ना? That means your function was decreasing here,
Decreasing.
ठीक है, and for x less than 0, अच्छा चलो यहाँ पे साथ साथ लिख देते हैं, f dash was negative, therefore the function was decreasing, f double dash was positive, therefore the function was concave up. यही था ना, ठीक है,
Yes, ma'am.
decreasing and concave up. अब इसको अपने दिमाग में रखो, राइट? इसका मतलब 0 से पहले चाहे मेरा फंक्शन जहां से आ रहा है, बिकॉज मेरे पास इंटरवल डिफाइन नहीं है, तो मैं मानकर चल रही हूँ कि x माइनस इंफिनिटी से मेरा ग्राफ प्लॉट होता हुआ आ रहा है, राइट? बट ऑब्वियसली मैं उतने पोर्शन में ही प्लॉट करूंगी ना जितना मेरे नोटबुक में दिख रहा है मुझे हिस्सा, राइट? नाउ decreasing, as I said, decreasing means you have to come from up to down, ठीक है, up to down. Decreasing मतलब ऊपर से नीचे बनाना है, ऊपर से नीचे. Concave up मतलब the cave is going to open up, upwards, ठीक है? तो इसका मतलब जो शेप होएगा इस हिस्से में, it's going to be something like this. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Decreasing, decreasing and up. अभी हम सिर्फ shapes plot कर रहे हैं. We'll join these spaces later on. Okay? Now, we won't see from 0 to 3. We'll see from 0 to 2 first because 2 is a point of inflection. Right? अब 0 to 2 में, see, in the interval 0 to 3, what was the sign of f dash?
Negative.
Negative. अब फिर से नेगेटिव ही था ना, राइट? नाउ इफ इट वाज नेगेटिव फ्रॉम 0 to 3, डेफिनेटली इट इज नेगेटिव फ्रॉम 0 to 2 आल्सो, ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे नेगेटिव है, तो इसका मतलब यहाँ पे भी डिक्रीजिंग है अभी, राइट? बट व्हाट अबाउट द साइन ऑफ f double dash between 0 and 2?
Negative.
Negative.
Negative and concave down.
Because यहाँ पे my function is concave down. ठीक है? Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
अब देखो, फिर डिक्रीजिंग. डिक्रीजिंग मतलब क्या हुआ? ऊपर से नीचे, फ्रॉम अप टू डाउन. जैसे हमने ये ऊपर से नीचे ड्रॉ किया था, ये भी ऊपर से नीचे ही आएगा अभी भी, बट द concavity has changed. Now the graph is concave down. That means the cave is going to open down. So that means, abhi, as I said, I'm going to just draw the shape in this interval, right? So upar se niche, but cave is opening down, so that means it will have a shape like this. Something like this. Is this clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Now let's move from 2 to 3.
Negative.
From
Negative.
2 to 3, what is the sign of f dash?
Negative.
Still negative, right? So that means it's still decreasing. But what is the sign of f double dash?
Positive.
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 Concave up.
So it's going to be concave up. तो अब जो जैसा माइनस इंफिनिटी से 0 था, वैसा ही अब 2 to 3 पे हो जाएगा. सेम हो गया ना, नेगेटिव एंड कनकेव अप, नेगेटिव एंड कनकेव अप. So that means it's going to be again like this, something like this. Okay. Now what about x more than 3?
Positive.
Positive.
F dash is positive. That means the function is now increasing,
Increasing.
right? And what about f double dash?
Positive.
Positive.
Concave.
Concave up.
Yeah. See, 3 is not a point of inflection. ठीक है ना? 2 was a point of inflection. 2 के बाद concavity change हुई, but 3 के बाद concavity same है. So that means it's still concave up. Okay. अब increasing मतलब from down to up. Okay. From down to up, and it has to be concave up. So it's going to be something like this. That's what I'm saying, that you have to start plotting with the behavior as specified. If it is decreasing, plot from up to below. If it is increasing, plot from below to up. Please mute yourself जिसका mic on है, बहुत शोर आ रहा है वहां से. For increasing, plot from below to up. Okay. For decreasing, plot from up to below. And just see the signs. Concave up means the cave is opening up like this, like this. Concave down means the cave is opening down. Okay. Now, what we have to do is, we have to join the pieces. Now, this point has to be joined with this point, because ये तो 0 पे है ना. Similarly, this point has to be joined with this point. कहाँ पे? 2 पे. This point has to be joined with this point. कहाँ पे? When x is 3. Right. Now, अभी I'll just give you a rough. We'll join the pieces and then we'll place them in the xy plane. Right? अभी right now I'm not placing them in the xy plane. So it's going to be ये यहाँ से ऐसे आया, ठीक है? फिर चेंज हुआ और फिर ये ऊपर गया. कुछ ऐसे सा बनेगा ना ग्राफ. यहां से यहां तक अप, ठीक है? फिर डाउन, कनकेव डाउन रहा, राइट? यहां तक. फिर अप हुआ, कनकेव अप, ये वाला पोर्शन यहां से. फिर ये मिनिमा आया यहां पे और फिर ये चला गया. ठीक है? तो अब ये पॉइंट कौन सा हुआ? When x was 3, how much was fx? You said minus
17.
minus 17. ये तो हुआ ये वाला पॉइंट. ठीक है? ये वाला पॉइंट कौन सा हुआ? When x was 2, how much was fx? minus 6. ये वाला पॉइंट हुआ कौन सा? When x was 0, 10. ठीक है? यही 3 पॉइंट्स थे हमारे पास. इसके बाद यहाँ चला गया. ठीक है? अब on your xy plane, plot these points, and it's now like a jigsaw puzzle, you know, like you have 0, 10 से पहले ये ग्राफ ऐसे आना है. So now you have to put these pieces of the graph in your xy plane. Okay, so it's going to be something like this now. Now we'll plot the xy plane. So, I mean, as I said, nobody is expecting a perfect sketch from you. We are just expecting a rough shape. Okay? तो ये graph paper पे नहीं बना रहे हैं हम. Okay? So, somewhere here, now 2, 4, 6, 8. So, supposing, let me take, this is x, this is x dash. Somewhere here is y, and somewhere here is y dash, and this is my origin. Oh, okay. So let's take this point as कौन सा था? 0, 10 है ना? ये चाहिए था हमें. Then 1 और यहाँ पे हमें चाहिए 1, 2 and 3. Right? 2 पे 2, 4, 6. ये point चाहिए हमें एक. कौन सा? 2 minus 6, and then somewhere here 8, 10, 12, 14. Supposing यहाँ पे आ गया. And 3 and minus 17 you said, है ना? ये point आ गया 3 minus 17. ओके अब यहाँ पे इसको प्लॉट कर दो. बहुत ज्यादा स्पेसिफिक होना है तो एक्स एक्सेस जहां मर्जी क्रॉस करे वी आर नॉट बॉदर्ड बिकॉज वहां पे कोई बिहेवियरल चेंज नहीं था. सो इट्स कनकेव अप, कनकेव डाउन, कनकेव अप, मिनिमा एंड देन कनकेव अप. दिस इज द ग्राफ. सी द पॉइंट इज पॉइंट ऑफ इन्फ्लेक्शन में बहुत ज्यादा चेंज नहीं दिखता. हम बहुत ज्यादा वेव नहीं दे सकते. यहाँ पे फिर भी दे सकते हैं बट वी डोंट नो एक्चुअली this should have been the ideal shape here. So this normally remains like this because बहुत हल्का सा concavity change हो रहा है. Okay, so we can't distinguish that, but then minima clearly दिखता है, right? अब जैसे यहाँ पे point of inflection clearly दिख रहा है, but यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा clear नहीं दिख रहा है, but फिर भी दिख रहा है कि इधर इधर है और जैसे ही 2 क्रॉस करा तो हमारा केव इधर हो गया. अभी तक इधर था. Okay, so this is your graph now. So it's a simple way. You have plotted a 4th degree polynomial, just by the knowledge of first derivative and second derivative. इससे ज्यादा हमने और कुछ नहीं किया इसमें, है ना? अब जो I think एक तुम्हारा ये 12th problem है. अच्छा, before I चलो I'll give the instructions later on. Let's quickly have a look at your 12th problem. क्या है तुम्हारा fx? This is
1 by 3x cubed minus 9x plus 12.
plus 2. ठीक है ना? This is my fx.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you have to sketch it. I don't know whether तुम लोगों ने इसको try किया या नहीं करा, depending upon.
Yes, ma'am. I've
किया
tried.
है?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Try
ma'am.
किया.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
चलो.
X square.
f dash x equal to 0. फिर quickly बता दो values क्या क्या है.
Square
Minus
minus
3 and 3.
plus 3 and minus 3.
Plus 3 and minus 3. अब मैं यहाँ पे रफ बना रही हूँ. अब मैं बहुत डिटेल्स में नहीं लिखूंगी because I have explained. Minus 3 and plus 3. For x less than minus 3, what is the sign of f dash?
Positive.
Positive.
Increasing.
For x less than minus 3.
Positive.
Positive.
x square minus 9 है ना f dash x? है ना?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, f dash is positive. So the function is increasing. Okay. What about minus 3 to 3?
Negative.
Negative.
Negative. And decreasing.
So the function is decreasing. है
Decreasing.
ना? Increasing to decreasing, right? तो इसका मतलब minus 3 is a point of maximum.
Maximum.
What about x more than 3?
Positive.
Positive. Increasing. Increasing.
Increasing. So that means from decreasing to increasing, that means it's a point
Minima.
of
Minima.
minima. ठीक है? ये तो हमारे निकल आए थे. Right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. चलो, quickly, can you find f of minus 3 and
Yes,
f
ma'am.
of
It is
3?
30.
F of minus 3 is
30.
1 3 plus 30
330.
plus 30. एक बार क्रॉस चेक कर लो.
Yes, ma'am. I have checked.
F of minus 3.
20.
Plus 30.
20.
ठीक है? हाँ?
Yes, ma'am.
20.
20.
That's what I'm saying. कुछ
मैम
problem
20 होगा
20.
Plus
20
20.
होगा.
मैम
plus
20
20 plus 20. Okay. What about f of 3?
Minus 16.
Okay. So your points are now minus 320 and 316. ये दो points आ गए. This is
3
a
minus
point-
16.
Oh, sorry, 3 minus 16, yes. So this is a point of maxima and this is a point of minima, right? Now let's see, f double dash x. F double dash x is 2x, simply,
Ma'am.
right? And f double dash x equal to 0 implies what?
0.
X
X equals
equal
to 0.
0.
Aditi Lobial, what do I repeat? What did you say? Now 2x equal to 0, which implies x equal to 0. Now see what happens. For x less than 0, what is the sign of f double dash? Negative.
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 negative
So it's
Concave
concave down. And for x more than 0, it's positive. So it's
Positive
concave.
concave up.
And when x is 0, it is 2. The value of the function is 2. So that means we get that 0, 2 is a point of inflection. ठीक है ना? तो इसमें हमारे पास मैक्सिमा भी है, मिनिमा भी है और तीनों पॉइंट्स कुछ ना कुछ, राइट? Now combine the two and sketch in pieces. See, अब हमारे पास पॉइंट्स कौन से होंगे? -3, 2 and 3. यही है ना हमारे पास?
0 and 3.
0 and 3.
Zero and 3.
सॉरी मैंने 2 लिख दिया. It is 0 and 3. ठीक है ना? अब for x less than -3, your f dash was positive, so it was increasing, है ना? And f double dash was
Negative.
Negative.
Concave down.
Yeah,
Or
negative, so it was concave
concave down.
down. Now, अब देखो increasing and down, मतलब नीचे से ऊपर जाना है, but concave is to be down. The cave has to open down, so it has to be something like this, right? Then when you cross -3, your f dash is negative.
Negative.
That means the function is decreasing. But what about f double dash?
Cave
Pos-
down.
Negative. Negative.
-3 to
Concave.
0. Now be careful. It's -3 to 0.
Negative, ma'am.
It's still negative. So that means your curve is still concave down. Okay, so it is decreasing and down. So that means you have to come from up to below, but still in the downward position, something like this. Okay, now from 0 to 3,
Positive.
f dash,
Decreasing.
Negative.
it is still negative. That means it's still decreasing. But what about f double dash?
Concave up.
Positive.
positive
So it's
Concave
concave up. Okay, decreasing but up. So something like this. What about more than 3?
Positive.
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 Increasing and
So it's
concave up.
increasing. But what about the second derivative when we cross 3?
Positive and concave up.
concave up
So still concave up. So that means you are moving up and concave up. अब इनको join कर लो. So isn't it like a sine wave kind of a thing? because अब जब इसको इस पॉइंट को इससे ज्वाइन करोगे तो ये ऐसे बनेगा, फिर ये नीचे, सॉरी ये ऐसे गया, फिर नीचे आया, कनकेविटी चेंज हुई, फिर ऊपर गया, दैट्स इट। ये पॉइंट कौन सा है? -3 एंड व्हाट वर द कोऑर्डिनेट्स? +20, राइट? जहां
Yes,
पे
ma'am.
inflection change हुआ, this point is 0, 2 and this point was +3 and -16 you said?
Yes,
-16
ma'am.
है
Yes,
क्या?
ma'am.
Yes.
So अब ये points भी आ गए हमारे पास. Now plot them in the XY plane. Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, see this,